Classic Showdown on Bring a Trailer. Are classic cars more exciting and better to buy than modern cars? We're going to get into it. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts now. Nerds! Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. Yeah, you can always tell when I'm making it up as we go. Welcome to everybody. This is Bid Nerds. We're coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner Michael Deeb way over on the far side of the screen there in San Francisco. And Michael Deeb, who's in the middle tonight?
John Webb, what's up, dude? Oh my God, John Webb
what's going on?
One of my new favorite people post-COVID. As I've come back to the Bay Area, JP, and done a bunch of Breakfast Club rally stuff and some DWA rallies, I've gotten to know John. We both live in the Bay Area, and so he comes to all the car shows. And I don't even know what John does for a living. I feel like he's car business adjacent, but I just love talking cars with him. He's a collector, he's an enthusiast, and he's a great speaker, and he knows the industry. And so I begged him to come on the show, and he finally ran out of excuses. So here he is. John, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? I'm awesome. I'm really happy to be here. Yeah, you guys have been banging these out for a while and checked out a couple and excited to join the ranks of some of your other amazing guests. I saw you got Mike Spinelli out. I was like, whoa, it's awesome to see Mike Spinelli. So, yeah, super happy to be here and hang out with you guys and chat about some cars.
Right on.
All right, guys. Well, if you are new to the show, what we do here is we analyze listings from Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, sometimes P-Car Markets, and some of the other online auction sites. We talk about those listings, we analyze the cars and the listings, and then we make predictions. We try to figure out what we think will be the result of those listings. It's a lot of fun. You can play along with us. And speaking of playing along with us, we've got the Nerd Herd. That's the folks watching live with us right now in the chat room. If you are watching the show live and you're brand new to the show, or maybe you've been lurking for a while, you need to introduce yourself in the Nerd Herd, in the chat. You're going to make great friends in the Nerd Herd. That's where all the real talent is. That's where the best predictions are made, and we try to get your comments on the show as often as we can when we go live, and it's a lot of fun doing it. So what we always start off every episode is we go back to our predictions from the last episode and see how we did, and we'll give you a chance to play along with that. So let's get to it. You guys ready?
Let's go.
All right. What was the first car we made a prediction on the last episode? Michael Deeb.
All right, JP. This one is the one I stuck my neck and reputation out on a limb for. And boy, that was easy to do because this car is gorgeous. We're going to circle back to my very first premium listing on Bring a Trailer, a 1994 Lancia Delta Integrale Evoluzione 2 in the beautiful three-layer pearl they call Bianco Perlato, as one of the 3 or 4 special editions they did of the Evo 2. This car got its own nickname. They call it La Perla in Europe. And of course, in America, most people don't know what this car is. But those that are fans of World Rally Championships and Group B, those who are fans of Italian exotics, tons of people that you would least expect, JP, have a soft spot in their heart for the hottest of all the hot hatches of all time. This car was basically a homologation special for Lancia to run the Delta platform in World Rallying, essentially like NASCAR, win on Sunday and sell those crap boxes on Monday. This car accidentally won the World Rally Championship 7 effing years in a row. Legendary and iconic in the heart of real car enthusiasts in the United States, and a total icon around the world. This car is immediately recognizable because of its bodacious boxed fender flares. JP, you and I and every car guy we know loves a good M3 or a 944 or a Pajero Evo. If you know, you know. This car, JP, just executes all the things we love about a hot hatch and econo box on steroids. And turns out, JP, as I got to drive this car a handful of times, they are as fun to drive as you hoped and imagined they would be. Being able to put, maybe 100 miles on this car while we had it, I can happily report to everyone out there, if somebody, just like Ferris Bueller, if you ever had the chance, I highly recommend it. They're so good. So much fun. It's everything you want a GTI to be without having to dole out for a Golf R, which sadly will trance this car because of all the modern technology. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that on average, the Lancia Delta Integrale Evo 2s that they've been tracking for the last 4 or 5 years in the secondary market only bring about $102,000. Our car here is one of the special editions. It also happens to have a ridiculously low odometer, just 11,000 kilometers from new, having spent almost all of its life in a private collection in Japan. The car was brought stateside in 23, and we got to sell it here in 25. JP, we had hoped and prayed that this car would surpass the relatively fair reserve, which was well above the classic dot number, and get into the black, as they say. JP, I recused myself from bidding because it was my listing. You bid at $180,000, and the spread seemed to be from about 170 all the way up to 200 in the herd. Webb, we're going to throw you in the fire. I think you saw this car in person. I'm not sure if you did or you didn't, but what do you think of this special edition on Bring a Trailer, listed by this schmuck over here? Where you at on the Evo 2?
Yeah, I think I saw it at pre-stage, and
Yeah,
I didn't know it was your car, but or your listing. But yeah, I mean, it really stood out to me. And these kind of like super low miles imported homologation special, all of the extra special build qualities to it seem to be really, really hot right now. So I'm kind of in the camp with JP at the moment. I'd say it does well above the average number you talked about. Easily, I could see it surpassing 160, 165. But
give us a real number.
I got to pick a number. I'm going to go 175.
Yeah. 175, and you are in the hunt. JP, this turned out to be a really fun listing, and it was just great because all the world was watching, what you and I are doing. And so to get special attention with a premium listing and have a lot of eyeballs on the car, so proud of it, and it just crushed. JP, our car hammered for $201,000 where it sold on 23 bids.
Yeah.
John, I told you when we were chatting as the car was closing that while I was still with Haggerty, almost 2 years ago, there was a chance I had to work for a seller up in Sacramento and sell 3 cars for them on Haggerty Marketplace, and we did cover those cars one at a time on the show a while ago. Those folks that we sold the cars for are actually the buyers of this car, and that wasn't known until the deal was consummated. So it made me feel good that this car is going into a really cool collection. JP, I know you gave me a strong bid. You were really trying to help the listing. It was an optimistic bid, and we really hoped we'd get to your number. The car did great. It went over that. Yeah. What do you think now when we look back on this listing? You got a really nice car with really good eyeball and good photographs. We did our job and pushed the hell out of it and made noise. But man, $201,000 when we're worried about the news and corporations sinking and stuff like that. We're leading up to Car Week. Is this a sign that Car Week is going to be better than we think, or did this car close? Like, is your thing like that guy that gets on the elevator as the doors closing? Like, is this the last great sale before
the needle?
All hell breaks loose? Yeah. What do you think, JB? Help us
read
the tea leaves on my
feels like that
massive listing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I love Dave View. He said he's looking Dave View in the Nerd Herd. For those of you guys watching, he says this dashboard looks like a bunch of TIE Fighter gauges, and he's so right.
Yes,
I never put that together. This totally does. So a little Star Wars reference there for the kids. No, look, this car is awesome, but I think above and beyond it just being awesome is the fact that your listing was nearly perfect. The photos were great, and of course your engagement was terrific. You're in there making sure that you're answering all the questions, doing everything right when it comes to listing a premium car like this. But on top of that, the thing that we keep running into, that I think the repeating theme is really young timers are so hot right now. If your car was ever in a video game in the 90s or the early aughts, chances are it's gonna do well in an auction platform. And conversely, if it wasn't, it's not. Meaning, there's not a whole lot of 50 57 T-Birds, in video games, or cars that used to be really popular, old convertible, I don't know, Corvettes and stuff like that. Like the cars that the boomers really chased after 5, 10, 15 years ago, those cars were never in video games, and they're never going to realize a huge run again. So yeah, I'm not at all surprised by this. I'm very happy to see that result. And John, what do you think of the result?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's incredible. To double the Classic.com estimate there is a testament to the presentation and the quality of the car. I mean, it does check all those boxes, and you're absolutely right, JP. Video game, by the way, disclaimer, I work for PlayStation. Video game presentation, especially in the 90s, has everything. And, I was looking at, a Bandit Trans Am that sold recently for like some insane price, and it's all because of the love that a certain audience, and maybe I cross over, but they have for the memory of that. And you're talking to a new audience that has a love for the memory of Gran Turismo and Need for Speed Underground and games like that, and whatever cars they spent hours and hours specking up and racing around tracks, they want to have in real life if they can do it. So I totally get it.
Well, I do want to address what you were talking about, Deeb, is like, are we threading the needle? Where are we in the market right now? And we just had, they just announced they're not lowering interest rates again. And I think that's because, look, we just had a big, huge spending bill just happened. I don't know how many trillions of dollars are going to get put into the system. So there's going to be a lot more money dumped in, and that's going to affect inflation. We keep talking about inflation. That's like, if you're a longtime fan of the show, you're breaking out the drinking glasses, because it used to be that you could get really ripped watching this show because I would mention inflation like 20 times in any given episode. I think that it's time to break out the bottle again. I think we're going to see a lot of inflation, and I think that cars like this, good job, John, like cars like this, and any kind of solid asset, kind of like a couple of years ago during the COVID boom, I think we're just going to see people trying to figure out ways to deploy capital to things that aren't depreciating, like hard money. Like hard money is going to I feel like if you've got money in the bank, you can't get rid of it fast enough to buy something that will actually hold value, because the price of everything is going up. So if you have money and it's just sitting there, you have less and less and less money in the bank every single day, unless you deploy it on something like this, or Bitcoin, or gold, or a house, or something. Yeah. Something, right? So I think it's a very good time, and I think we're going to see a lot of that in the auctions coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then it'll be interesting to see what happens after that as we go into the fall and winter, and people then, are they even thinking about cars? What assets will people be trying to deploy capital at? But what do you guys think of that? Let us know what your thoughts are on this Integrale. Are we threading the needle? Is this the perfect time to be selling your hard assets? And even if you do get a big number, you sell something like this for $200,000, which is way more than a lot of us expected. What do you do with that money? You got to get it right back into something, right? So what are you going to spend it on? Let's get to the next car. What was the next car we made a prediction on, Michael Deep?
All right, JP, we took a quick peek at a 1992 Porsche 911 America Roadster that was on P-Car Market. What was interesting about this car, JP, is the odometer. Just 29,000 miles on the odometer of this car out of Los Angeles, California. Now, it looks like it's in midnight blue metallic, but it turns out that what we're looking at in the images is a wrap. And, John, you showed the audience that there was a single photo of what the paint looked like before they wrapped it in its original color, and it had, like, beyond sun damage. It looked like the clear coat was peeling off of this. So there's a rough paint job underneath, but you've got a rare car. Now, again, I didn't bother to do the homework on this. They said they made 250 of these cars. JP, I'm pretty sure they only made like 280 of the C4 wide bodies. And this car here, the America Roadster, JP, I'm going to contest that. I still stand on they only made 125 of these things. Well, somebody in the nerd herd go on to Wikipedia and find out if Deeb is right. I think they only made like half of what they're claiming, making this car really rare and very collectible. So would this car ring a collectible number because of the odometer in spite of the paint, or would the car falter? So with that pretense in mind, the drama builds, Classic.com tells us the average selling price of one of these, which normally has a 3 times that odometer, is still $118,000. And let's not forget, half of the 125 that I'm claiming they make have an automatic transmission. This one's a manual. But JP, I thought this car would falter at just $91,100. Get it? 911. $91,100 was my bid on this car. Part of it's the platform, part of it's the paint, and part of it because of the ugly gray interior. JP, your bid way under mine. Your bid came in at only $70,000. So Webb, we've got a rare car with collectible miles. But it turns out that there's more than meets the eye with this particular car. And, of course, it's on P-Car Market. They've been known to be, let's call it, elusive as the run-up to Car Week, lest we run into somebody from Oyster Bay and get our lights knocked out. What do you think, Webb? An America Roadster, I swear they only made 125 of these things. Where are you at on this car? Give us a bid.
Was the America Roadster the one that was like, or all the Americas of this era, was that the sort of badge engineered one? They just like slapped a RS badge on it or whatever?
No, that's the RS America. And this car, what you have is a rear-wheel drive convertible with the wide body. The only other wide body they would have made would have been a turbo. And then 2 years later, they made a wide body that was four-wheel drive. So what was cool about this is getting the wide body in a cab without a turbo, and it's still rear-wheel drive.
The rest of the car doesn't look quite as rough as the paint. You know, anytime I see something like that, you got to assume that it was sitting and somebody wasn't taking care of it. You know, so that's going to bring me down, not just because of the paint job, but just you got to wonder what else is going on. But given the rarity and the mileage, if you can believe it, you know, I'd say somebody still really wants this car and is willing to roll the dice on just a paint job. So I'm going to go 85.
85, not a bad bid, not a bad bid at all. You'd be a little bit closer than Polnick, but I aced you guys out. Okay, JP, of course there's more than two numbers to unpack here. Of course there is, right? This car closed, let's call it 2 days ago. Our car hammered for $95,000 where it failed to sell on 49 bids. Ooh. Let's presume for a minute that you're going to paint this car for $25,000 to $30,000. That number tracks. But they said no to that, JP, and I happened to catch it right when it closed, and it wound up in what they call Marketplace. They used to call it the deal tank. We've always referred to it. The herd agrees with us. It's the chum bucket. JP, car appeared still for sale, if you can believe it, for $195,000, $195,500, which is absolutely just batshit crazy. JP, as we opened up our computers,
wait. They're asking 195?
They were asking 195. I got an email today that said they've lowered the asking price. Guess how much they lowered the asking price by?
Well, I'm looking at it, so we'll show everybody.
$119,500. Yeah. I mean, is it just always a clerical error, or are they just fishing for another sucker before they get real? I don't understand their practices, JP. From 195, hey, we talked to our seller. He decided to take $75,500 off the asking price. So let us know if you'd still like to make an offer. And here's the thing, JP. I'm actually totally okay with the asking price of $119,500, but I wish somebody from P-Car Market would tell us what always happens with these listings. I swear to you, JP, they were initially asking $195,500 because I transcribed the number onto our living doc. Just bananas. But 119, again, I think 95 tracks, but 119 is not a crazy asking price. I think somewhere between the result and the ask is a deal for a car that you could probably maybe, you know, if you're good, you find somebody to paint it for 20 or less, and now you got yourself a good car for the money. What do you think, JP, about where it's at right now? What do you think about that asking price? That's almost tempting for a manual.
I think the classic.com price is way the hell off. Like, I mean, way off for a limited car like this. I think this is a $150,000 car. We're seeing the C4 wide bodies, those are going for 200 plus. Yep. This particular car, the problem here it's no big secret here. They talked about, and we showed that picture of how bad the paint job is, but there's only one stinking picture. And this is such a P-Car Market sucks moment. That it's just they can't freaking help themselves, these guys. On I like what the owner did, right? They said, okay, we're not going to bother going through and repainting this thing because that can be tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Is someone going to be happy with a $10,000 paint job? Maybe a new owner would. Maybe some owners are like, this is a limited car, we're going to have to do it right. To do it right, you're probably looking at $30,000. So they said, fine, we'll just wrap it with vinyl and drive it and make it look good, and fine. Okay, great. That works if you had complete photos of the rest of the body and what the condition of the paint is on the rest of the body. Is the rest of the body as bad as that hood? Or is it just the hood and maybe some of the quarter panels? Because not only is that going to require paint, but body work. I mean, that's going to be a lot of sanding and it's just how far you got to pull the thread on this sweater to get it back to original and to make it a $150,000 car. This is a low mileage, numbered, rare, air-cooled 911. It could be worth a heck of a lot of money, but this is just failure on every level, and that's just what we expect on P-Car Market because they're just not able to get out of their own damn way. John, what do you think of the result of this thing?
And John, before you speak, I want to talk to JP.
Yeah.
Part of that number is that I think like half of the America Roadsters are automatic, and the automatic cars rarely break $100,000. So I think that's what would keep. I think you're right. A manual one of these should be a $150,000 car, but the automatics bring that number down below 120. Webb, where you at?
I would popped up there, but again, like you would have to believe that it's just the paint, and it's just rarely just the paint. You know, when something like that is going on, it's just now the other photos, interior and so forth, where it's not wrapped, they look okay. You know, so maybe it is just the paint, but that's what you're gambling with here, right?
Yeah.
If it's not just the paint,
so
you're into a top end rebuild and whatever else, and then suddenly my number's not a bad number, but if you believe it's just the paint, then yeah, you could get there. For sure.
That paint job, I mean, we're not talking about a faded paint job where maybe someone buffed it too much and, you're getting burn marks or something like that. Or because it's black, it's got a lot of swirls or rock chips on the hood. We are talking about a complete and total hood failure. I'm digging through the photos to show you guys the hood again, and I can't find it. That's how stupid this ad is. We have one picture disclosing how bad this thing looks under the wrap, and I can't find it. That's how stupid this thing is. Okay, I found it. Here we go. I mean, look at that, guys. That's not just leaving it out. Like, you'd have to leave it out in the sun for a decade or more to get this kind of damage on the hood, right?
Yeah, I think John is implying that it's ex-girlfriend damage. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's legit, right? I mean, but did she also pour, what is it? Did she pour stuff down the gasoline tube too, or whatever? I mean, like people do.
Right?
Exactly. What's going on underneath?
If somebody
that's
vandalized it because they were angry, and you know what you can't see in this picture too? That's another thing that's kind of freaking me out, is you can't see the hood, the hood ornament, the logo, the Porsche logo is kind of missing there. Is it cropped just enough that you can't see it, or was it? It's just, but the questions mean I'm shocked it brought as many bids as it did. But anyways, let's move on. What do you guys think of the results on this America? Let us know in the comments. And what's the next car, Deep?
All right, JB. This is another troublesome listing. And it's not like we're picking on the platforms. These are really cool cars that just don't make sense. JP, we're going to circle back to the 1981 Porsche 930 that was a European car, right? We didn't have 81 turbos in America, but this is a European market 81 930 turbo that was later converted with roof modifications to become a BTR coupe. That means that the stock 280 horsepower motor has been modified, suspension and brakes and body kit too, and in this case, really cool Recaro seats. But the big thing is the motor. JP, these cars are alleged to put out around 370 horsepower to the tires. Look at that. That's one of my photo shoot places up there in the Headlands. Very cool images on this listing. JP, we took a quick pick at this car on Cars and Bids, as it is a ZZZ VIN on a clean Montana title right here in Mill Valley, California, showing just 27,000 miles on the odometer. However, as I looked to classic.com to get an idea of what BTRs are supposed to bring in the secondary market, we found out that this car has run at Mecum and on PCAR Market. It shows that it was failed to sell. Then it showed that it's sold on PCAR Market. Then you found out while I was talking that it's still listed as being in PCAR Market's marketplace with an asking price on it, all while it's live on Cars and Bids. And so it's hard not to, fling a little bit of criticism. It's like, come on, guys, you got to how can Cars and Bids allow this car to go live while it's still live on somebody else's platform? That seems like an abject miss and a whiff. And we also thought that because of that, if we found it so easy, anybody who might seriously be bidding on this car would also find it so easy. And thus, I think while we were looking at the car, JP, at around 70 grand, we wondered if it would get any more bids at all. So my bid on this car, and again, these modified 930s are supposed to bring $126,000 according to our friends at classic.com. My bid on this car, JP, was just 75 grand with a huge failure to sell, knowing that they're looking for about 150 grand, 140 grand for this car. JP, I think your bid was a reflection of it not getting another bid. Your number, just 70,000 even. So John Webb, really cool car with a crazy history in the last 6 months. From the fall of 24 till today, this car has run on a couple of different auction platforms with multiple no sales and a sale and a classified listing, all while it's live now on Cars and Bids. So what do you think this car might have hammered for just the other day on this auction platform?
On Cars and Bids. Yeah, I think, it's hard to deny the allure of the roof here. And I think Harry Metcalf, Harry's Garage on YouTube, had a 930 that been breathed on by roof recently. And boy, that's just an appealing story. But the background on this car definitely taints it a little bit. But to the right buyer, I don't know, maybe they have a story for that. I'm going to go 100 grand.
Yeah, and you would have won because our car hammered for $107,930, where naturally it failed to sell on 29 bids. So JP, a little context for you and John. We had seen this car FTS for between 80 and 100 grand at both Mecum and PCAR Market. The car later transacted, I think, at PCAR Market at like $146,000. But then we show that the car is currently still available in the deal tank. And I can't remember that number, JP, but I believe it was like 150. 200,000. 200,000.
Yeah,
so
somebody way overpaid for this car.
Yeah, in my mind, they're looking for that 146 that they had agreed to take. So in my mind, they're looking for 150. So we didn't think it would really get out of that $70,000 range. They got up to 110, but I'm sure that there's not a deal to be made from a bid like that because they want, and I think this car is worth 150 to 200 grand. But this car has had such a terrible story over the last year plus and has appeared way too many times in the public eye that I really feel like this car needs to be sequestered or go overseas or come to life in a live auction where you've got all these big agents. They can just sort of place the car with a collector for what it is and not where it's been. This is not Cars and Bids failure at the result. However, we want to make sure Cars and Bids is doing their homework before they list to protect sellers and buyers alike from checkered stories like this one. Again, these things slip through the cracks, but when you got a team of people and you try to make changes, this is the kind of stuff you got to step up and meet the challenge. This is certainly one that could have been excused for turning away despite how special the car is, or at least making sure that it was delisted at PCAR before it goes live on Cars and Bids. There's always a solution, John, right? Where you at, JP? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, Cars and Bids here, the failure, like you said, is the fact that this car was even accepted. The fact that it was still live on PCAR Market is just not acceptable. I do understand that mistakes get made, but if your Cars and Bids and you're trying to attract more classic cars, more Porsches like this, when you get something this special come across your desk, you got to do extra homework. If it were just a 95 Miata that with an expectation of reserve of like 20 grand or something like that, who cares, right? But this is a roof. This is a really special car. So whoever was the listing agent at Cars and Bids really dropped the ball on this. They should have been all over it, looking everywhere and scouring the internet, finding out history on this car, if for nothing else, just to help create the listing and help the seller get the most amount of money. That's their job. They're the ones that are writing the listings. They're the ones that are getting out there and trying to make, look, Cars and Bids, you're not getting paid unless the thing sells, right? So why waste your time? Why waste everyone else's time with a car that's for sale for $200,000 on an inferior platform? And a simple search that should be the first thing you do. Is like, oh, it's a Porsche. Well, let's see if it was on PCAR Market and how bad it did. That would be like, do they have a list of best practices when they accept a car like this? I sure think that I sure would have thought that something like that would have been there. All right, John, what do you think of the result of this roof?
I mean, like I said, makes sense, but deals fall apart all the time for all kinds of reasons, and time heals all wounds, I guess. So, I don't see any particular reason why they couldn't have got where they need to be, but I think the buyer probably overpaid, looking for too much, hunting across all these platforms for a bite, and isn't really willing to deal. And the platforms you're talking about, they're not disclosing that history, and they're not telling a good story probably about why those deals fell through. And that's just going to taint the car until, the clock resets eventually. I agree with you. I forget who said Deeb, maybe probably do well in Europe and might need to go out of the country to do it.
I think this car just needs to go away for 2 years. Just it needs to disappear, that or become internet famous. Somebody needs to drive it and do cool stuff. It just needs to go away. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below, and let's move on. We got lots of stuff to cover here.
JP, that car would look good in your parking garage in Vegas. I'm just saying.
Agreed. All right. And I wouldn't leave it out in the sun so that the hood would blister into, paint failure. All right, what's the next car?
Oh, well, that would ensure you get a
jacket.
Yeah, and that would ensure a listing on PCAR Market.
Sure.
JP, let's circle back to an original owner, 1990 Mazda MX-5 Miata with a 5-speed manual on Bring a Trailer just the other day. English. Okay, here we go. Out of Brick, New Jersey, the big news here, JP, aside from the fact that it's still basically all stock, is that this car only has 10,000 miles from new. JP, if you ever wished you could go back in time and buy one of these cars off the showroom floor, one of these original Miatas, take a look at the car that's in these images here. Despite being in front of what looks to be about $150,000 double wide, this car looks pristine. It looks, I mean, basically as new. The only thing that I recognize as being aftermarket is that little wooden sleeve for the cup holder. John astutely noticed that this car was a power steering car, right, JP, and not a free wheel. Is that essentially would that be the right way to track that? Yeah. And so John's saying that since this car has a limited slip and it's all stock, the only thing that would make it more attractive as a driver would be to have a natural steering box, and how cool that would have been. But again, this color, this car, untouched, unmolested, just looks really pristine. And man, oh man, where could this car go? JP, these early Miatas still bring about $11,000 in the secondary market. That's probably more than an S65 from 2001. You know what I mean? Like, so I thought this car had a chance, JP. I really was in on this one. $24,000 was my bid, and I had no reservations about that number. And then you took the over, which never happens. JP, you went over me at $25,000. Webb, have you ever owned a Miata? And what do you think of one with only 10,000 miles? What would you think this would bring on BAT?
I think this fits the video game car description you were talking about earlier, plus, just the enthusiast's, credibility. So it looks minty for sure, and the license plate suggests to me that it's a nerd that took care of it, so I appreciate that very much. So I don't know. I might even go over here. I'm gonna go 29.
29, and I think that would have been a great bid. JP, I was surprised by the result. $17,280. I thought it would get way more than that, and then I was surprised that it sold for that number. So if you would have told me it wouldn't have gotten 18 grand, I would have told you it wouldn't sell. I would have assumed that they were holding out for 20 grand and that BAT might have covered it with a reserve to protect it as much. So at 17,280, I'm saying no sale, and it's sold. My verdict, JP, super well bought. What a grab for 17,000. I don't care where this car is. It's August. Drive it home. Let's go. Road trip, Polnick. Tell Rochelle happy anniversary and get on the plane. Where you at?
It's got AC. You could go all across the country. There's a heat wave, but who cares? Put the top up, turn the AC on.
Who cares?
Look,
Sunblock.
the problem with this car is it's a poor looking listing. I mean, it's just that simple. It just doesn't, these are terrible photos. These are terrible assets. That's what we always say on this show. If you have a car like this and you're interested in selling it, give the Bid Nerds a call. You know, we do provide that service. That is something that we do. We will help you with Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, or P-Car Market, whatever platform you want to sell it on. We'll take all the photos. We'll shoot all the video. This is the kind of car that needed a treatment. And I think maybe the person thought, oh, well, it's a sub $20,000 car. I'm not going to spend a couple $1,000s on assets to make this thing. But I think that meant that they left $10,000 on the table. This should easily have been a $25,000 car. John, what do you think?
I think give me a call. I got 18 for you.
Boom. There you go. The new owner can make money just like that. All right, let's move on. What's the next car on the list, Steve?
He might be young, but he wasn't born yesterday. JP, we have waited and waited and waited for somebody to hack up a 964 that had power before they send it off to that chain-smoking, crazy Japanese guy that makes RWBs in Los Angeles and Tokyo. JP, feast your eyes as we circle back to the 1992 Porsche 911 Turbo that has been RWB modified. JP, I said something terribly boomer. I wished it didn't have the Eddie Van Halen guitar paint scheme, and then you told me all the reasons why. That's exactly what this car needs, because the guy who's going to buy it loves that shit, and you were right. John, we have seen so many of these cars.
Yeah, but not because he thought it was Eddie Van Halen. The guy who bought this doesn't know who Eddie Van Halen is. He just likes his stripes.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Sorry.
We have seen so many of these cars come to market, 964s, 993s, two-wheel drives, four-wheel drives, and occasionally a convertible, but they all have 250 horsepower, and they all look like they could go 400 miles an hour. This one has a turbo, and I think the turbo's also been modified. This is probably making 300-400 horsepower, JP. I bet this car is legit. So there you go. We find out that modified 964s typically bring around $201,000, and that's a dubious number because there's so many different cars that ring into that thing. I thought this car, JP, we were looking at it at like $160,000 or $170,000. I thought this car would jump all the way up to $221,000 before it hammered on Bring a Trailer just the other day. JP, your bid over mine at $249,964. John Webb, it's an RWB whose bite is as fierce as its bark for once. What do you think this car hammered for?
This is like the opposite of the other car. I'm going to say you're going to change the sort of look and feel of it if you want, if that is appealing to you, and not diminish from the fact that it's a 964 turbo with Nagaisan with his scissors going around the outside. So I'll go 225.
225 is a good bid, but JP would be the closest because our car, and I hope you guys are sitting down, I hope the whole nerd herd is sitting down, our car hammered for $286,000 where it sold. JP, 77 bids. That is all the money for this car. Very well listed, very well presented, and very well sold. And JP, I'm going to go out and say I think it's really well built. Like it or not, RWBs have a cult following, and this might be the nicest one we've ever seen because of the performance envelope matches the cosmetic appeal and suggestion of the whole car. This one is the one, and so at 286, I dig it. Really well sold, great job. Really well bought, also a great job. What do you think?
I remember joking as a kid when someone would see a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something really special, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's awesome, but I don't like the color." And my response would always be like, "I don't care if it was Barney purple or had zebra stripes on it. It's awesome. It's an awesome car. And here's the car, right? I mean, this is a 964 turbo. Doesn't matter what color it is. Doesn't matter what you have bolted to it. Doesn't matter how much it's hacked up. It's a 964 turbo. At the end of the day, it's a 964 turbo. And if it were a clean stock 964 turbo, it will probably be worth even more than this. Frankly, these days, the 964 turbos are really hot. This fits right there in that young timer market like we were talking about. And we opened up the show saying classic versus modern. Look, the guys that are out spending money on something like this are going to spend $300,000 on something like this way before they're going to go spend $300,000 on a new Huracan. It's just that simple. This is way cooler, way hotter, and will hold its value. Whatever money you pay for something like this, in 5 years, it's still going to be worth that or a lot more with just inflation alone. John, what do you think of the result?
Yeah, I'm convinced by that argument, actually. Yeah, I haven't tracked the 964 turbos that much, but, if you think about the rare shades crowd and people that are just interested in the Gaison story and RWB, yeah, I easily could get closer to 300,000 now that you talk about it that way. So, yeah, well bought.
This would probably screw up a speed cam too. All the lines like that is probably like so this would be a great way to go and break the law. All right, what do you guys think of the result of the RWB? What's that?
One more joke for this. This paint scheme with the zebra. If you've been watching Shark Week, apparently this is shark proof as well. Sharks don't bite things that look like zebras.
Shark Week. That's a thing on television, right?
Yeah.
Do people watch that? It's not on YouTube? Okay, all right. Everybody see, I'm all apathetic, but our audience is all like, yeah, television, that's a thing, right? Like everybody younger than me is like, nobody watches television. They all, anybody who has kids that were in high school 5 years ago, or when they went off to college and they came home to all the Gen Xers and Boomers and were like, Dad, why are you watching TV? Unplug, just get Netflix or Amazon or whatever. All right, moving on. What else we got? What's the next car on the list?
Go to commercial break, JP.
Oh, it's commercial break. Oh, I've got
new listings after this.
And I've got to look the commercial. Look, I know we normally go to an Our Smiths commercial. I'm wearing my Our Smiths Aviera watch right now. So is Michael Deeb. So shout out to our friend Anthony Vieira. I've got a special treat for you guys. If you haven't marked your calendars, if you haven't made plans for September 13th, watch this, and you need to make plans after you see this. Check this out.
Vegas Autofest.
Adam 5 to base. Now that Lambo is chasing us. They're going to Vegas Autofest.
Vegas Autofest is September 13th at the Red Rock Country Club. Vegas Autofest. The drivers are coming.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of the Boomers, we did a recreation of the opening scene from the Cannonball Run. Some of you might recognize that. We shot it in the exact same place. The opening scene of the Cannonball Run was shot right there in Boulder City on the way down to Searchlight on the old Highway 93. Rami got in all kinds of trouble going the wrong way up an off ramp. We just did all the stupid things that you would expect when you're remaking a Cannonball Run opening scene. It was a hell of a lot of fun. So thanks to everybody that helped out with that. And by the way, Vegas Autofest this year, we're giving away an Aviera watch. We are giving away one of the Our Smiths one-of-a-kind watch. We'll show pictures of it on the next episode. Beautiful. I should have it here tomorrow, and we'll make some really cool assets for that. So somebody's going to walk away with that. What do you guys think of our trailer for the Autofest coming up on the 13th? Let us know in the comments, and we'll put that up on YouTube, and we'll put that up on all these socials, and you guys can share it and make your plans now. All right. Time for predictions. Let's get after it. Let's look at some new listings. What is the look? And guys, we have some really cool cars tonight. What's the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP. As my partner was telling everybody in the nerd herd, John and I, as the bid nerds, we offer our services for listing. JP is as a movie producer, an excellent photographer, and has taught me almost everything I know about marketing. I've been in sales on the high end for a long time, and it's really fun for me to sort of chaperone the listing while it's live and engage all of the clients in comments. If there's ever been a winning endorsement, everybody in the nerd herd loves our friend Chris Carbine down there in New Orleans, Louisiana at a Carbine Motor Cars. You may remember about a month ago or so, he listed a 1977 Porsche 930 Turbo Carrera, a 3-liter car that was an ROW. That means rest of the world. The car was actually a Japanese market car and was imported to the United States a couple of years ago by those fancy folks at Symbolic Motor Cars out of La Jolla, California. They brought the car in. They repainted the vehicle and rebuilt the motor. So they did an engine out and a repaint once the car arrived. It's in its correct original shade of light silver metallic. And the rebuild means that the motor is essentially fresh. And it's a super special car. So they ran the car once at FTS. They ran it a second time. And one of Chris's clients in New Orleans bought the car. A year and a half later, they decided to ask Chris to sell the car, and Chris took the photos that you see here. Chris hired a photographer, I should say, and listed the car on Cars and Bids. We covered it at that time on the show about, 6-7 shows ago. The car hammered at $118,500 where it failed to sell. That's not quite enough to get it done for an early 3-liter non-intercooled Turbo Carrera. And if you really take a close look and you know these cars, check out, you got H4s, you've got big, beautiful front apron that comes from a later car. You've got brand new Fuchs Styles wheels. This car is also a slick top. That's awesome. We never got the 930 turbos in America with a slick roof. That was a non-option. These early cars are intercooled or non-intercooled, so they host what we call affectionately the authentic whale tail spoiler. And if you get around to a photo, JP, of the back end of the car, these have the European bumperettes, which are smaller and lighter. It really, to me, kind of cleans up the look of the rear end of the car. Car also has a rear wiper and sports seats and all these other cool things. Limited slip differential. Our cars in the States made about 245 horsepower. The ROWs didn't have to meet our DOT and smog regulations, thus those cars made a little more horsepower. This vehicle has 260 horsepower. So if you presented me with two identical Turbo Carreras, but one was an ROW with a slick top, I would choose that car all day long. So by that rationale, $118,500 wasn't going to get it done. Well, who does Chris Carbine call when he needs a little bit of help? He asks the bid nerds to step in and see what we can do with the listings. JP and I have relisted the car using Chris's assets, and a lot of the work, a lot of the heavy lifting that was done by Symbolic down in La Jolla when the car was imported just a couple of years ago. An absolutely special car. They only made like 100 or something Turbo Carreras in 1975. So Turbo Carreras are really only like a 2-year production run. They were mostly made in 76 and 77. After 1977, the cars got an intercooler. They got the big T-Trace wing, and they're just a different feel. It's a slightly different vibe. I know it's kind of the same car, but these early non-intercooled cars have become highly collectible. So now this car is an alumni listing, again, because Symbolic had listed it before Chris's client had bought the car. The bid nerds are now chaperoning this listing. We are pushing it. We are the ones that are engaging. We're off to a very good start. The car is going to close on Friday. So JP, as many 911s and air-cooled cars as I've driven, I know you've driven more. Really the only Turbo Carrera that I've absolutely sort of dipped into the throttle to feel what it feels like was that red-on-red car that we had at Godden while I was there. Believe it or not, JP, before that car was imported to the United States, that car came from Colombia. Your rebate is in the glove box, if you know what I mean. But they're really cool cars. They feel lighter to me. They feel more raw. I really dig these cars. They really do feel like a step from like a Euro Carrera or an MFI car. This feels like a step, whereas a intercooled 930 turbo Really feels like there's just so much more like the turbo lag, because the way it comes on is so much stronger. It just feels like an entirely different ball of wax. But these cars are really fun, really agile, and just super engaging. What's your take on the Turbo Carrera, and what do you think of what we got going on here with Chris's car?
It is hard not to look at this thing and just not instantly fall in love. This is the car for so many of us who are car nerds, who are enthusiasts, who have fallen in love with Porsches and made them part of our lives. It's because of cars like this. Back in the day, whether or not you were aware of cars or not, I mean, Deeb and I are old enough to maybe remember these when they were contemporary. I mean, we were just little kids, but this car changed everything, and we all had something like this on our wall as we grew up. But the purity of this car, with the whale tail instead of the T-tray, the wide body, like you said, Deep, just all the right little details, the H4s, and frankly, the color, the silver on black is just the chef's kiss here. I know that PCA dorks are all about crazy colors and weird colors and stuff like that, but you can keep all that. I want this car really is a dream. If you could meet your hero, this is the one you want to meet, because you will realize the dream. Everything that you thought of when you thought of what this car would be like to drive if you've never driven one, it will meet those expectations. Deeb, you talked about the Integrale that you sold, and how you had never driven one until you got to drive that one, and everything you thought, it really lived up to the dream, lived up to the hype. These really do that. If you've driven modern Porsches, and if you've ever driven a naturally aspirated, air-cooled 911 and felt like, yeah, these are really great and these are fun, and I love all the analog stuff, but they just don't have enough power. You get into something like this, and it doesn't have that immediate hit, but when that turbo pushes you back in the seat, it's just like, oh, wow, okay, I get it now. God, and our good friend Chef, who puts on Vegas Autofest with me, he just bought a 930 about a year ago, because for the first time he drove one of Rami's. I think he drove Rami's dad's car, his most basic stock car that he has, and Chef drove that car, and it's also a non-intercooler one, right? So he drove it, and he drove it for 20 minutes, and came back, and he's like, I have to have a 930 now. And he went out and got one like literally a month later. It's crazy. So yeah, this car is beautiful. It is the car you want. It's you're never going to lose a dime on this. Any money that you put in this car, you can just let it sit. It may as well be Bitcoin or a retirement fund, whatever. And you can also drive it. John, what do you think of this thing? I know I'm gushing a lot about this. I'm not just saying this because that this is a car that Bid Nerds is representing. I really mean it. This is a super, super stunning, beautiful blue chip car. What do you think, John?
Yeah. Can you see the hearts in my eyes? I mean, it's just pure. It's just pure, right? Like slick top, silver, ROW spec. I mean, what's not to like there? I think I'm learning a little bit about the difference between the intercoolers as we're talking, but I can see that and feel that this is the way that they designed it. This is the way they wanted it to be, and that's going to be appealing to a huge number of people. So yeah, I'm super excited about this car.
Deeb, what's it going to bring?
All right, JP. So Classic.com tells us that the Turbo Carreras typically bring $170,000, and that's an average number. We are seeing the collectible versions of these cars bringing easily over 200. Our car, I should mention, I didn't mention it earlier, is showing 71,000 kilometers on the odometer. Again, a rest of the world, a Japanese model, actually. That's just 44,000 miles. Now, the car has been repainted. The motor has been rebuilt. So this is not going to win a preservation award, but it's a really nice car. It's a very collectible model. And again, I would rather, buy this car at a small discount from the 170 and have a slick top and 15 more horsepower, and the H4s are already on it and all this other great stuff, than to get an American one, which is going to be slower and have a sunroof and all this other nonsense. So I dig this car for the money. JP, because it's our listing, I recused myself from bidding, and I asked Sahan to bid, and Sahan said, well, let me give you my number because I'm out tonight. So Sahan's bid on this car is $155,000. JP, is somebody in the nerd herd going to bid for you before we hand it over to John Webb?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna randomly. Look, Kevin Bodeman, give me a number for this car, really quick, and we'll let John give a number before we do it. What do you got?
Sean Webb will put you on the spot. Here you go. What do you got on the Turbo Carrera? The Classic.com average is a 170, but this is a gray market car with a ZZZ VIN. Where you at on this one?
I think it's worth the hassle. I'm going 190.
Oh, wow. There you go. Booyah. 190,000, JP. Is Kevin Bodeman giving us a number for you?
He has not, so I'll take Buddha's number at 188.
Kevin
188.
Kevin Bowden is at 185. There
did he?
go.
Oh, okay, great. So 185.
Yeah,
Sorry, Buddha.
Perfect. So there
Buddha's
you go.
probably
So Sahan's at 155, Bodeman's at 185, and Webb's at 190. I think all those numbers would make a very happy Chris Carbine down in New Orleans. Chris, thank you for trusting the Bid Nerds with the car. This one closes in a couple of days, so we are going to ask the Nerd Herd to do us, and if you hate us, which was totally understandable, do Chris Carbine a favor. Jump on BAT, tell everybody you saw the car, tell everybody how much you like it, tell them how much you love the actual seller, not the guy in marketing, that's me and us, but tell them how much you love the guy who's actually holding the title and the keys on this car for the new owner. That would really help the engagement and push this car over the edge. And then if you're into it, let's say, just for fun, JP, this car is going to close at, let me give it to you, everybody. So this is 10:41 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, because my computer's in California. That's a California time. So that's very early on the West Coast. You know, the bidding opens for lots at 10 o'clock. So this is one of the first cars that's going to, this is going to be like one of the first 20 cars that will close.
Steve, we got to move it along, man. We got to do a speed round, so get to it, buddy.
All right. So anyways, I'm going to invite everybody to join us for the close of that auction. Chris Carbine is selling a 2012 Ferrari FF with just 16,200 miles. It's a featured listing on Cars and Bids. The car is on a clean Louisiana title, and the FF is one of Ferrari's most outrageous, arguably one of the more recently controversial models. The FF was for four-wheel drive and 4 seats. Despite being a 2-door shooting brake, there is a back seat in this car, and this car was one of Ferrari's first all-wheel drive efforts. Having driven this car and worked for Ferrari when these things were rolling out the door brand new, I can tell you, JP, this feels like an M5 with a tune, like with modified turbos and a tune. It just feels like an M5 on steroids. They're glued to the road. They're super responsive.
Okay. Well, great. I'm sorry to do this, but we literally have 5 minutes left, so we got to do a lightning round. What's this FF going to bring?
All right. The Classic.com average for this car is $122,000. Our car is currently sitting at $101,000, and it closes tomorrow. My bid, I'm going to go with Classic's average, $122,000 at Hammer. JP, what's your number?
I think these are really great. I think these cars are really useful, and that's something that's unique in an exotic car, and it's a great seller. I think the platform, this is going to be a test for the platform. I would like to see this car do at least 130, so I'm going to say 130. How about you, John?
Great.
What platform is it on?
It's on Cars and Bids. What's your number?
Oh, Cars and Bids. I'm at 118. No panel roof, and a couple other goodies. I don't know. I'm going 118.
Do you think the no panel roof is bad? Is a negative, or do you think that's a positive?
For this car specifically, yeah.
Yeah, what? Yeah, it's a negative, or yeah, it's a positive.
No, I'm saying no panel roof for this car is a negative.
Is a negative. Okay,
you want with the 4 seats, that's part of the magic of this car is the panel roof.
Man, I would personally, I'd rather have one without a panel roof. That's for darn sure. But all right, that said, what's the next car on the list? Deep, quick.
JP, one of the most interesting cars ever to grace the pages of P Car Market is an ROW 1996 Porsche 993 Carrera coupe. This is a narrow body coupe that has a 6-speed manual transmission, but this car, to everybody in the Nerd Herd, go on to P Car Market and look at the build sheet for this car. Look at all the options. This is a car I don't think you ever could have addressed in America. X51 is the power kit, and then X79, it means it gets those side air vents on the rear quarters, which I didn't even think would have been possible on a narrow body car. JP, this is the closest thing to a real RS, but it just has the standard motor. Right now, the car is currently listed at $225,000. The car itself, JP, is beautiful in yellow with a full blue leather interior, sports suspension, and limited slip. The car has 80,000 kilometers, so I'm guessing that's like around 55,000 miles. So it's fair mileage. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that a 993 C2 coupe is just 87 grand. I think this car, $299,300 is my bid. Everybody else, I think, is going to say 300 grand. Where are you at on this one, JP?
Yeah, I mean, these are really good assets for P-car market. By the way, those inlets are useless. They go nowhere. They go to the frame. So they do nothing for the car, but they do look kind of cool. I'm shocked that someone, anyways. I think even for P-car market, they might pull this off. I'll say 300,993 and hand it off to John. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's got to be the number. That's in the range. I mean, you've got.
Give me a number. Give me a number.
Yeah, 301,993.
301,993.
301.
Nice. All
there
right.
you go. Very good. We're right there.
Okay.
And it could happen to any of us. All right, JP. One of the most exotic cars we've ever covered on Bid Nerds, a Stellantis special and a premium listing on Bring a Trailer, is this 2010 Alfa Romeo TZ3 Stradale Zagato. They made the TZ1 and the TZ2s in the 60s and early 70s to a sports car race, tubular frames, and 1800 and 1600 cc twin cam motors with a twin spark. When when Fiat and Chrysler married, they decided to make this car as a halo car. It's essentially a Dodge Viper with a Zagato body. And JP, I don't think they made more than, I don't know, there's probably less than 100 of them in the world. This particular car is in Scottsdale, Arizona on a clean Montana title showing just 1,900 miles, and it's an 8.4 liter Viper ACR X V10 with a 6-speed manual and a limited slip diff. It's absolutely gorgeous. JP, there is a number for this car on Classic.com, and it's only $560,000. This particular car has, I think, FTS'd at like 600 and sold once before at 640. It's currently at just 400,000 with 2 days to go. Look, if they have Lancia Delta Integrale success, this car will go to 7. But I'm going to temper, despite a premium listing, I'm going to temper my bid 600 grand at Hammer and say that it doesn't sell for my number. 600 to you, JP.
Yeah, I'm going to say, look, I've never even heard of one of these until we opened this up today and I looked at our list. This is so freaking cool, though, because I'm kind of a closet Viper fan, and to see one with this sensibility wrapped around that crazy-ass frame, I would love to get behind the wheel of this thing and try to kill myself. I'll say, I'll go $599,999 and hand it on to John. What do you think of this crazy thing?
I think that its specialness from a design perspective makes it all that much more sad that it's just going to crash into a tree. So, as a Viper ACR, I will be sad to see that happen. I totally think they should have brought this car to Monterey. I don't know what they're doing trying to tell this online. You need to get somebody who's like just got lots of money and wants to park this thing and look at it and stare at it and turn it on and rev it and hear it, but not really, really drive it in anger, right? So, I'm with you. I think this is a no sale 650.
No sell 650. There you go. I think that's what they're looking for, but we'll see. John Webb, thank you so much for joining us. To the Nerd Herd, sorry we're rushed there at the end, but we'll spend a little more time on these cars when we reconcile in a few days. JP and I are going to be out in Monterey Car Week. For sure, you can find us posting up at Works Reunion on Friday, and you may find us out at the racetrack on Saturday. We hope to see you out there. If you see the Bid Nerds, come over and say hello. We'll do stranger danger and run from you.
Very nice. John, can we follow you or find you? Anything you want to plug on the socials or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you can find me at The Real John Webb on Instagram. Post a few car things from time to time. If you guys want to play some video games, buy some PlayStation stuff. That'll help me keep me in the hobby. And I'll see you guys in Monterey.
All right,
Absolutely.
guys, we'll see you on Sunday night when we reconcile all these bids, and we'll have a whole list of other cars. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on the next show.